Hello, and welcome to the Women's Nest. This is going to be a pre recorded episode. Uh, I'm hoping that tomorrow is Sunday, so I'm hoping I can actually do a Sunday episode, but we'll see. All right. I really wanted to do this earlier today, but uh, life happened, and honestly, some good stuff happened. Um, I woke up at 6 and then went back to sleep to 7. And then I had a sponsee cancel on me. So then I went back to sleep till 8. And then I got my day going. I went food shopping at the same store 3 times today. Disgusting. Disgusting. Um, but the first time I was at the food store, oh my gosh. Yeah, I got so much stuff to talk about. So the first time I was at the food store today, I'm going down an aisle this way, and I see someone that I thought I recognized going the opposite way, like down the perpendicular. Is that what that is? Oh my gosh, and I'm super thirsty. I have not drank enough water today. So I'm walking, and I'm like, oh, that looks like him. And then they kind of like backtrack, and he like looks at me, and I was like, oh my gosh. So it was one of my son's friends from elementary school, and then they went to the same high school, and a very different path that they've both gone on. But it was so crazy. Like 2 weeks ago, I was like, hey, how is this young man's name? And he was like, yeah, he's good. I was like, is he still in school? Is he still going to nursing school? Blah, blah, blah. And he's like, yeah, I think so. So just, it was crazy. I got to see this boy. And if you're in New England, we're like supposed to get hammered with snow again. And so I was like petrified to go food shopping the day before a storm. I'm hoping everyone goes tomorrow because it wasn't actually that bad. So we meet in the aisle, and I just give him a big hug, and I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, how are you doing? And it was so great to see him. And like I said, he's in nursing school. So I was like, oh, do you have like a year left or whatever? I'm like, what are your plans after? Um, and so he said, I'm thinking of maybe doing traveling nurse, but I want to work in pediatrics. I'm like, oh my gosh, like the fact that I know this young man who is literally going to change lives. But funny story about because now I'm like thinking of this young man because he's like, oh my gosh, so good to see you too. Um, you know, just the hug was so awesome. It was like real and authentic, and just he was just such a great young man. So he lived right near the elementary school that they both went to. So my son started going to Brockton Public Schools in second grade, and it was such an awful transition. It was not good. Like broke my heart the second day. Like first day I was like, "Oh my gosh, he's doing great." Second day he's like screaming down the hall for me to come and like save him. And it just so happened this young man in second grade got transferred to Brockton schools as well. So they kind of like literally grew up together. Um, so I think it was like the fifth grade, and my son was a latchkey kid, right? Didn't have the finances to pay for after school, so he didn't have a cell phone. We had a house phone. It was, the bus stop was at the top of the street. He had a key in fifth grade. It might have even been fourth grade, whatever grade it was, because I couldn't afford the after school care. And my neighbor across the street at the time was working a shift where she actually could see them coming home. So like she would check on him, but the rule was as soon as you get home, you call me, you lock the doors, blah, blah, blah. But a lot of times he would ask if he could stay at so-and-so's house after school. And so like I would always pick him up there and stuff. And so this was like a whole school year, maybe two. And finally, I had said to my son, I said, hey, why don't you see if he wants to come over our house? And he did. But his nationality, oh my gosh, his mother, they're a very protective family. I remember going there and picking him up. And she was like, don't you hurt my baby. But that's just how she was. And, when so he came over, they hung out for a few hours, and then I brought him home, and things were great. But then, like, going on to their high school graduation or awards night before graduation, um, he was getting quite a few awards. Very studious young man, and Tyler got a couple of awards as well. Which I was like, are they just giving awards away? Because I don't think that you need these awards, or you should get them those awards, because he suffered from senioritis so bad. I don't know. I mean, he got them. Great job. But this other gentleman, like, great kid, studious. My son's a great kid too. So long story short is that I saw the parents at the awards thing, and it was, nice to see them again. And then at graduation, right? I have a picture of my son and him at awards night, and total opposites. So my son shows up in a sweatshirt, sweatpants, right? Matching. And this other gentleman, he's got a tie, a like vest, and just very different, very different. Um, but it was just so good to see another young man who was raised in the city of Brockton, aspiring to be more, you know. Um, and as a mother to, again, this young man didn't come to my house often, but like they had gone to a concert one other time, and I picked them up and brought him home, and just um, when you see other men, young men that have been in your orbit and they're doing great things, it really melts your heart. And he even said, he was like, I was like, he said, how's Tyler doing? I said, he's good. And he's like, yeah, every time I talk to him, he's always busy. He's always working. I'm like, yeah, he's working. He's like, that's awesome. That's awesome that he gets so, different paths, right? Um, but it's funny, they're both going to be licensed professionals. One is, a need that society needs, to be healthy, and the other one is a need that society needs to be comfortable, right? We don't need electricity. It is a comfort thing, but it's also a skill. So it was really, really good to see that young man, and um, makes me feel like you don't know who you're going to impact, right? Um, so it's always like, keep your best foot forward. I'm saying that doesn't mean it happens, but it's like, show these young men, young women. I keep saying young men because obviously I only have one boy, and the majority of his friends were male. So it just kind of makes sense, right? I say these young men. Um, so yesterday, we have game night tonight at 24 South, and this is going to be aired well after game night. So I needed to get some supplies, and I didn't really feel like walking into Walmart or Target because really need to watch what I spend. So I did like a Walmart pickup order. Figured that's going to be the safest way to not overspend. But we needed a new shower curtain liner, not the actual curtain, because that thing's been there for 10 years and it's going to look just fine for another 10. But like the plastic, like heavyweight liners, which by the way used to be $5, and they've slowly gone up, and it was like $12. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. And I've seen them obviously at hotels and stuff. I've seen the fabric ones, waterproof, and I'm like, wonder what that price is. It was the same price. I'm like, I'm gonna try it. Will I help the environment? Sure. I took the first shower with that thing. Game changer. If you're questioning if you need one, a new liner, please get the fabric one. I mean, I don't know what, like month 3, if like the water repellent stuff is actually gonna repel water. But first day, game changer. Do it. If you need to replace your shower curtain liner, get the fabric one. Because I'm like, all right, I can wash it, reuse it, and it's the same price, right? Like that's really what I'm looking at, is it's the same price. In theory, I shouldn't have to buy a new one as often. Yeah, we'll see. Um, but yeah, like my shower curtain, it's always been like get stuck here, and it's heavy because the heavy liner. Oh, this thing was like it was amazing. Um, so I may have to report back in like another month or so, and let you know if it's still repelling water or how it's doing. But as of today, get yourself one. And if you've had one, please tell me why you've never told me about this. I mean, I guess it's not something that we're like, oh, you know what I have and you need to have? It's not really one of those things that you kind of chit chat about, I guess. I don't know. Um, so then Ryan asked me yesterday, he had stopped by his dad's house. Because that's, what we do. We get to do that. Mark, we get to do that. Um, and I hadn't seen him in a while. And I usually try when Ryan's on call to go there, either Saturday or Sunday, and we have a cup of coffee together, and we usually shoot the breeze. And he usually has me laughing. He's a funny bastard. He is such a funny bastard. Today he goes, "You wouldn't even know how to operate a baby stroller." This is what he told some guy on a job site one time. I'm like, damn, dude. Yeah, that dumbass wouldn't even know how to operate a baby stroller. I'm like, I'm stealing that, Harold. Um, I'm so happy that I have that man in my life. Like, he's an awesome, awesome, awesome man. Um, so I went over there to help with some computer issues he had because Ryan's like, hey, my dad wants to know if you got a half hour to spare for him tomorrow. I was like, half hour, 2 minutes. What do you think? He's like, I don't know. He did stop pushing buttons when he realized he was going to screw it up. So, like, I went over there and, like, dude's in his 90s and he still does his computer stuff. I mean, his computer is really slow. So if I go get ready to go over there, it's always like, Harold, start up the computer and I'll be over. So I called him and said, hey, I finished putting my groceries away. I'm going to swing over. And I did. And it was a rather quick fix. And he's like, what was it? And, whatever. And then he was talking about he got something in the mail and he was concerned that it was going to not send him the paper bills because he had another account where that had happened. He inadvertently had signed up. And like, it just makes me think where I work, there's also a push for like technology um, on the consumers, right? So like perfect example, you get this new smart meter from National Grid, and like you can opt in for electronic invoices, right? Payment, bill pay. And not everyone has access to a computer, right? But they just assume everyone knows how to use a computer. Everyone knows like this is the way it's going to be. And why? Not everyone does know that. And not everyone has access to the internet. Not everyone has access to a computer or a phone, right? Um, and some people may be like, well, everyone has access to a phone. Not true. Not true. And even if they do, like, do they have the capacity to know how to use it? Like I go over there to help him with technology often enough to know that like he's not capable, and that's no shot at him because I mean that man can fix anything. He can certainly do a lot that I cannot. But he's not using a computer to, check his balance or online banking or any of these things. And we just make the assumption that people can and will. Um, so he just wanted me to like make sure that he wasn't going to not get a paper bill for something. And I was like, yeah, no, I think you're all right. I said, well, if you don't get a bill, I said, you can blame me. Um, that's so like I got to go over there and do all this stuff, but it was still like a learning experience for me, or eye opening, right? Like he's fortunate that he has us, and he has, all his other children to be able to assist in different ways. And all of his children do assist in different ways. Um, some aren't geographically close. So geographically, his computer gets screwed up. He calls the bitch. That's what he calls me. Oh, the bitch is here. And it's like a term of endearment. And I just love it. I love it. Um, I'm like, yeah, asshole. That's right. You better know that I'm here. Um, and like looking back, so obviously Ryan and I, we joke, been together for 20 something years with an 18-year break. Um, he got a marriage in between there. I had a kid, he had a kid. But like looking back, knowing his dad and his mom, knowing them since I was like 17. And many years had gone by where we didn't. And, Harold welcomed me back in his home with open arms. I think Harold knows, like, I love you, man. He don't say that. So yeah, that was a good portion of my day today. It was a really good portion of my day, and just really felt there was a purpose for me today. And we talked about this with Rochelle last week, is, moving with purpose or having purpose. And not every day do we think we know what our purpose is. But today it was very glaring for me. Going to that store at that time to see this young man brought purpose to me, right? Like he brought me purpose. And then doing the grocery shopping, and oh my gosh, I thought I lost my keys. I actually went back to the store in the parking lot to see if I could find them, because this freaking new technology in the car. I remember because I was just unloading, so I left my car running at the house. And it kept telling me the keys aren't in the car. And I'm like, I could have sworn they were in the car. And I'm like, oh my God, did I lose the keys in the parking lot? So I grabbed the spare. I go back to Shaw's parking lot. I'm literally walking where I had parked. Couldn't find them. And I'm like, great. Gonna have to tell my other half, and they're gonna be like, oh my God, you lose shit all the time. Which, by the way, my mother loses stuff all the time. I'm so my mother. So I'm driving back home, and then they are. I'm like, they were in the car the whole time, and the car's telling me they're not there. That must have been a purpose for me at that, is like, slow down, friggin' chill out, because like you instantly start freaking out, right? And then purpose, going to help a senior, and just the conversations with him after the small fixes, the small assistance, just sitting there and chatting, and him telling me that he once told a supervisor that you don't even know how to operate a baby carriage. I'm like, some humor in that, and I got to show him some of the pictures of my trip to San Diego, because he lived there for a little while when he was stationed over there. And I got to hear a story about his first child, and just those things, right? It gave me purpose. And then I came home, and I can't remember what else I did. But I ended up, going back to the food store, because Ryan's probably gonna be stuck at work for a couple of days. It's okay. The furnace can get paid down even more. Yay! Adulting. So I got to go back to the food store, get him something else that he wanted, and now my purpose is for this evening to assist with getting people to have fun in sobriety and also raise funds for a place that offers it's a halfway house for women. So twofold, right? Threefold. I get to have fun too. But there were a couple of things I really wanted to talk about, and I want to make sure that I have enough time to really touch on them. And I may touch on them over and over again. But if you know me, actually, let me get my phone, because this is a text that I received that makes me realize that our children are always paying attention to what we're doing. So hold on one second. Okay. All right. So, my son sends me a link on Thursday, and it's Epstein files. I'm like, I send him back a question mark. And he says, some documents about this person and how he works with the police, and they cover him up or something. I saw it online and figured I'd send it to you. And I responded, and by the way, I am going to edit some of these because I don't want to say the names of the people. And I said, yes, he has a big issue around the blank area. Blank is one of his guys. Has, and then I wrote R, the @ sign, PAED, and killed a few people. He replies back, it's text messages. You don't need to censor it. And I'm like, well, I just wanted to not be so insensitive, right? And I laughed about that. Yeah, I think he was selling drugs or something too, and only got in trouble because of the RAPE, and I have no idea, to be honest. And I replied with, this is why I get invested in some of these cases. And he said, I get it. It's not good. That is really the meat that I wanted to share. I said, this is why I get invested in some of these cases. And he said, I get it. So as you can see, it's just ironic that I have this shirt on, right? Which is going to be an ongoing thing for many a years. The criminal case done. Civilly, as taxpayers, we're going to pay a lot. But that's okay, in my opinion, because we've paid for a lot of sins, right? Now it's time to pay for the right reasons. So there's that. So obviously, if you know me, you know I speak out on a personal level. I never mix the two, right? This is my personal stuff versus my non-personal life. I really keep those two things separate, and I will continue to do that. But I'm also on a Facebook group for this woman, Kelsey Fitzsimmons. And if you have not read up on her, or if you don't know much about the case and you say, oh, I've heard about it, I ask you to look into it. The quick synopsis is a mother who was suffering from depression, whether it be postpartum or not, was suffering. And I've touched on this before. Like, I have so much empathy for that because I feel like I suffered from it too and didn't know I was suffering. I got to hang now. It's not good to bite. And just the way that, so her son was taken away from her. And the punishment that she has received as a result of that, a punishment for her mental health, is disgusting, atrocious. anger driven. And Miss Fitzsimmons doesn't deserve this. Her child does not deserve this. She's not a drug addict. She's not any of those things. Mental health is very serious, right? Like, obviously, we never want to see anyone get harmed by someone else's mental instability at that point in time. So I get that, right? We need to care about the safety of others. But you don't alienate a child, an infant who was, from all accounts, breastfeeding, was around her family very frequently. I'm sorry, I'm going off on a tangent. So anyways, so she has not seen her child since April, maybe. It's like 250 days. Now, she was shot in the chest, almost died, was in a Boston hospital for 50-something days, got her bail revoked because she couldn't comply with an alcohol monitoring test, spent like 2 months in Chicopee Women's Facility, still not healed from her gunshot wounds, grin and bared it, and missed a surgery, I think maybe her 9th surgery, because that was a part of the bail condition, is she had to have an ankle monitor, and they wouldn't do the surgery because of the ankle monitor. So, right, she's delaying her own health to get an opportunity to see her child. The child just turned 1. And what happened, and the reason why I'm bringing this up, and other people have different views and points of opinions on it, and that's fine. We're human. We're allowed to do that. We're in a day and age where information travels very quickly, and it may not always be accurate. So I sat on it for a little bit before I moved with my statements. My watch told me I had 20 minutes of activity today. Not sure where that came from. Oh, it fixed itself. So we're not having to worry about a watch. So on the Facebook page, there was a video of her kind of talking like how I'm talking to you guys right now. And it was heart-wrenching. It was absolutely heart-wrenching, saying how she misses her baby, and this isn't fair, and all of these things, and nothing bad, right? There was no ill talking about the judicial system. There was no ill talking about the kid's father or anything like that. Just really sadness. I won't watch it again. I won't replay it ever again. There was a lot of sadness there. And it really hit me. Like, I was actually sitting at the table and I started crying watching it. And when I watched it, there was no like additional information about this. And then it came out that someone else had like shared it, that supposedly it was a part of like a much smaller group. And then one person posted it to like the 8,500 people within this Justice for Her page. And then it was asked like, hey, this was meant to be for a smaller group of people. It was never meant to be shared on a public forum, blah, 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 blah. And some people are like, well, if you recorded it and you sent it to one person, you must assume it gets sent to everyone. I don't feel that way. So when I saw that they had asked it to be taken down, and I had seen some people who had reposted it, I had asked, like, per the group of her support system, they've asked that this be taken down. The original poster had no authorization to do this. So again, I'm not going to get into like, should it be up there? Should it not be up there? What I'm going to get into is, this is why I fight for things. What's deeper than that, right? Kind of get a little headache. I might have to stop again and get some ibuprofen. So that's why I fight for these things, right? I don't think, okay, if you think she's an unfit mother, there's proper channels to go about that. So she can still visit her child, right? There's parenting centers through DCF that she can see her kid. May not be great, but let her see her kid. This is parent alienation, okay? I'm not going to get into my own shit, but if I let my kid see their parent, I think that she can see her kid. Seriously. So it goes deeper, right? Who does the other side of the family know? What favors are being asked? Like my son sent me the list. The only reason why so and so got in trouble is because of the R charge and not the drug trafficking. And let me tell you, there's a lot more to be said about the bullshit that goes on behind closed doors. And it's not fair, right? I wasn't born into, I didn't have a silver spoon up my ass when I was born. Didn't date the right person, didn't marry the right person. So that means that my judicial system is less important than someone else's. And we're going to get there too, because I don't know if, so one of my favorite people on YouTube, attorney Melanie Little, freaking rock star. She started, she did a lot on the Karen Reed case. She's doing quite a bit on Kelsey. She's really invested in Massachusetts, so thank you. I just want to thank her personally. I've been in her chat under a different username, one that if you know me, you know what it is, and it's been on her screen a few times. It makes me happy. I'm like, oh. But she recently started. She covered this trial down in Georgia, and it was in Athens, Georgia, and it was Georgia versus Edrick Faust. So his name is Edrick, Edrick. Last name Faust, Faust. And that gentleman is living a real life To Kill a Mockingbird. I am going to get some ibuprofen, so hold tight, refill your drink, whatever you're doing. It's dead air. Dead air, dead air, dead air. Be right back. Okay. All right. So, Edrick Faust was charged with a cold case. I think it was back in 2001, maybe. Tara Baker was the victim. And just as important of a name to remember is the victim, right? Well, they just needed a conviction, and it was pinned on the black guy. I'm not even going to give the trial any justice by trying to explain it to you. But it brought back me reading, because she kept saying, this is the real life To Kill a Mockingbird. And I read that book, I think 4 times throughout my schooling. And I think I've read it once or twice in my after school. So I think I read it in like the 6th grade, and then the 8th grade, and then 9th grade and 11th grade, or 9th and 10th. But it was pretty much like, it was almost every couple of years I was reading it. And then I think I read it in my mid-20s, and then maybe again in my early 30s or late 20s. I want to read it again. Because I do feel like some of the history that has been a part of our history is being erased. And I think it's important to remember that even though that book, Harper Lee wrote many years ago, it's still happening in today's society. You know, I'll be the first to admit the Karen Reed case. Why do I think it got so much publicity? Because it was a white woman. Yep. As a white woman, I'm going to say it. I think that's absolutely why it got as much attention as it did. Because there are a lot of people that are probably sitting in our prison system, or I know for a fact, there are a lot of people sitting in our prison system that really don't belong there. And they say, like, it's better to let one guilty person go than let one innocent person stay in prison. And that's a fact. That's a fact. And unfortunately, we don't see that. And, grateful that, Karen Reed had Aiden Carney, Turtle Boy, covering, the case and however they got their information out to the media, because there was media that wasn't picking it up. And in the finances that were, I donated, and I'm not looking for a pat on the back, but how did I even know to donate, right? Um, I donate to the Innocence Project. Yep, I do that. Uh, in Massachusetts, if you ever watched Trial 4, Sean Ellis, they tried him 4 times. That's the name of the movie or the miniseries. Trial 4. 4 trials to try to convict this man. And we have an injustice system. And I don't know if it's more glaring because body worn cameras or people on YouTube or mainstream media is not the number one outlet anymore, right? Is that why? I don't know, but I'm finding these things out, and I'm sure my algorithm is like, oh, this is what this lady likes to listen to or hear. And yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Um, because I can be in the wrong place at the wrong time, and my life could change upside down, and I don't have access to millions of dollars. I'd have to get a bottom shelf attorney and hope for the best, or a public defender. Which, no shame on public defenders, but their caseload is an overdrive. So while a lot of stuff is happening locally, a lot of stuff is happening nationally, right? Like, I'm sorry, I don't care about an NBC news anchor's mom any more than I care, or I don't care about that more than I do an innocent man going to prison for something he didn't do. Or what about the 80-year-old in Brockton that disappeared? Why is that life not valuable? Why is it a news anchor's mom that's more valuable? Right? Like, enough of that. Enough. Because the low income, middle America people are not worth reporting on. Because if we spent as much time on this one missing person as we did all these other missing people, maybe we'd have some of them come back. I don't know. But that's where my frustration is these days, is that it's not, so what? They have money. Is that why she got taken? I don't know. Like, I don't even want to hear about it. And maybe because I just don't have a connection to it. And that's okay. Like, if you don't like that statement, the whole point is to not, like, have someone be divisive and be like, oh my God, I'm never going to watch her again. But that's my point of view. And I would like to hear other people's point of view. Like, why does it matter to you? Maybe you really like the NBC news anchor and you like what they stand for, and that's why you have a connection. And that's okay, right? I'm okay to hear that, and I want to hear that. But I'd like to, this is my point of view. So maybe some homework if you guys are interested. Check out those two people that I talked about, Kelsey Fitzsimmons. She's out of Massachusetts, and Edrick Faust, and that's a Georgia case. And supposedly, like watching the trial, his attorney was personally, I feel like railroaded with every ruling, much like another case that I watched around here. Uh, so it's supposed to be going to an appellate court, and they need money for that, you know? And I'm not saying like, hey, everyone's donate all your money to all of these things that matter to me, but educating someone else about them is just as important as donating to them. So check them out, leave a comment if you've heard about them or not heard about them, or maybe something that you are interested in. Because I'm so interested in all this stuff. And, I feel like there's never enough time to absorb it all. So I want to be able to absorb some things. And actually, my YouTube lady, Melanie Little, actually has Edrick Faust's attorney on today. So I'm going to end mine and 1.25 her stream and hopefully catch up and listen to some of those things that he said. Like I said, please, if I've said anything that's offended you, that's not the intention. If I've said anything that has sparked an interest, leave a comment. If there's anything, a case or filling your cup, your purpose, if you've come across any of those things, let me know what those are. I want to be able to communicate. I can't go live because I don't have like 500 subscribers. I'm like, I don't even know if I'll ever get 500 subscribers. So I can't do like a live show, but I would love to at some point. So in the meantime, this is how we're going to have to communicate. So leave a comment, like, share, and send it off to someone that may interest you. That would be awesome. All right. Take care. Talk soon.